Rush hour at food courts is when most of us are prone to leaving our possessions behind after a hurried meal. 3 Temasek Polytechnic students were tired of losing their belongings out of hasty forgetfulness.
This idea came about when we were eating at the food court, and we noticed that one lady, an old lady, forgotten to take her umbrella.
As the same thing happened to us before, we came up with an idea to help people who is absent-minded.
I'm quite a forgetful person. In real life, I tend to forget where I put my things.
So what could they do for absent-minded people? From their engineering classes, the team knew that electrical circuits could be rigged for virtually any purpose. So how about a circuit that alerts you when you leave belongings behind? They decided to experiment on a table set to simulate a hawker center scenario. First, they needed to determine where to put the holder for belongings. That's where they would direct their alarm system. As they drilled holes into a plastic table, they realized a major flaw in their approach.
If we were to drill every hole, it would take a lot of time, and we have to replace a lot of the tables. So, in another way, we have to think of another idea that will be more suitable.
A more practical solution was to create a holder that could be easily attached to any table without damaging its surface. They could then wire up this holder to the seat and program it to sound an alarm if you left without your belongings. Once they hit upon this basic concept, they started putting all that they'd learned in school into building this invention. They would need to buy sensors, one that detects your wallet or phone in the holder, the other under your seat that detects once you get up. Their circuits worked perfectly after they conducted many tests on a model circuit board. But when they tried installing the circuits onto the table and chair, something was wrong. The alarm wasn't triggered when a person left without his belongings. Instead, it started to beep when they sat on the chair. After trial and error, they found this was because in this real-life test, they were using wires that were much longer than their initial circuit board tests.
The long wires plays a lot of important parts, because the longer it is, the more resistant it takes. So we have trouble in having it to be perfect.
Think of electricity as water flowing through a pipe and resistance as the amount of friction the water encounters. If the pipe is too long, the water gradually loses energy as it travels and, in extreme cases, may even start to flow backwards. Likewise with electricity, when it runs through a longer wire, too great a resistance messed up how the circuit behaved, and they had to rework their calculations and eventually shorten the wires. When they had finally worked that out, they designed a casing to hold the circuit board. Being the practical inventors they are, safety was first on their minds. That's why the holder is curved, in case someone accidentally bumps into it.
We come with an idea to put on the side of the table, and it must be friendly towards people, because you may, as you know, the thing beside the table might hurt people if they say sharp or what. So I came up with a cylinder, a round shape.
This invention may seem deceptively simple, but there's actually a lot of intricate circuitry going on inside. In fact, 2 circuits are involved, one under the seat and a smaller one inside the holder. When you sit down, the sensor under the seat detects your presence, and when you place your article into the holder, it's detected by another sensor inside. This puts the device on standby mode. Once you start to rise, the sensor under your seat detects this movement and sends a signal to the other circuit to check if your phone is still there. If it is, the buzzer is activated and stops only when you remove your phone. These young inventors have even added a button for you to reset the alarm so that it doesn't sound when you're just stepping out for a while. They've also thought of improving their invention by using a light-detecting sensor so that it operates by feeding off the energy from the surrounding lights and not from the mains electricity, somewhat like the way solar energy works.
We can minimize the usage of electricity. We can make use of the lights that is being used in the food court or restaurants.
And after observing people's habits, they considered other modifications.
Some ladies, after going to a market, they like to carry plastic bag. So maybe you can make a hook by the side of the tables for them to put their belongings there.
So the question is, will food court owners actually install such a belongings reminder?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's just not too bad. But anyway, if customer who do leave anything behind it, small items or big items, I would do keep for them till they come back and claim it, you see.
Somehow or rather, it's actually not so practical to us. Is that first we look at the cost of installing, and second is the maintenance.
But will patrons want to see such a product available?
Yes, definitely. So I won't lose my belongings so often next time.
Yeah, I think it will help in some ways, but also depends on whether they can be bothered to put their things inside.
Whether or not we'll see the belongings reminder in food courts of the future, there's something these three friends will never leave behind as they go their own ways. How collaborative creativity can solve some of life's little annoyances.